What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Jake Shavink here. And it's been a while since we've done one of these on the channel, but it's finally back for Mock Draft Monday, a one-round 2023 NFL mock draft. It's a perfect time to do it. Obviously, we're getting to late November. You're seeing how the draft order might look at the top. The playoff contenders have kind of separated themselves from the pack. So it's a good time to kind of look at, okay, who's setting up for the 2023 NFL draft? What do the contenders need, going forward? So there's a lot to settle. We're going to get through this the first round here using the NFL Mock Draft Database Simulator. Great simulator. Recommend you check it out. And we're going to look at, again, quarterbacks, tackles, defensive line, and definitely corners make their appearance abundant throughout this mock draft. So without further ado, let's dive on in and look at this 2023 NFL Mock Draft. Okay, starting out here, Houston Texans at 1. They got to do the reset. I know it's been really cool, like the Davis Mills honeymoon thing's kind of over, though. I mean, it was fun to kind of watch him play pretty well at times, but he's just not going to be the franchise changer. So Houston Texans at 1, we're going to go C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. And I know there'll be a lot of, differing opinions on who's quarterback 1 in this class between Stroud or Bryce Young. Some people have Will Levis. But I do think Houston's going to go the prototypical route here. Stroud has the prototypical size. He does really well within the pocket, good maneuverability, work through progressions, really fast eyes, getting to reads. So I do think he operates well within the structure that Houston will give him. Love that he can layer throws with touch. He's got accuracy to all levels. He's handled the blitz well. He's not like a guy who's going to be taking sacks at such a high rate. Does have some turnover-worthy throws on tape this year. Not the cleanest year for him, but I think what you're looking at with Stroud is does well within the pocket, can do some things outside of structure. It'll be few and far between, but overall, well-rounded player you can definitely win with. I think the ceiling is around a Dak Prescott type. So good start for Houston there. They've got another pick coming, of course. Carolina at 2, I think, you want to talk about Matt Corral. I don't think there's any reason to entertain that, honestly. You're at 2 right now. This is where you take Bryce Young, period, and you just roll with this, right? Maybe Steve Wilkes really is going to be that guy at the head coaching position going forward. They're going to give that job to him. Well, better find an OC that can really put a strong unit out there in 2023, and Bryce Young is the way to do that. He's really the artist at the quarterback position, right? Playmaker, distributor, can do all those things outside the pocket, extend plays at a high level. But he does operate well within structure, especially in the quick game. Does a great job setting protections, identifying hots and alerts, but he's got great poise as well. Big moments, he doesn't shrink. Third, fourth downs doesn't shrink. Like, he is really composed all the time, and I think that's what's going to translate. I know the size concerns are there. He is an outlier, but I do think he's one to bet on. Carolina does so here at 2. Chicago Bears at 3. Yeah, this is Will Anderson. I know tackle makes sense. I know adding receiver makes sense. Helping Justin Fields out is a good idea. I'm not going to do that at 3. I think this is, and nor should the Bears really, Will Anderson in the running for best player in this class with one other player who we'll get to in a minute here. But again, when you look at Will Anderson, you understand the season he had last year. It was 17 sacks, 31 tackles for loss. Like, that, he is a special talent at the position. Maybe not as big of a year this year, but like, the numbers are still fantastic. Really powerful, really explosive, great hand usage at contact point. He can do forklift technique, which is really, really advanced. Again, advanced pass rusher, really, really good run defender as well. And that's a great addition for a Bears front that obviously just unloaded both Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn in the span of I think it's like 7 months or so. So front 7 gets a big boost there for Chicago. Vegas Raiders at 4 here. I know there's like the idea of, okay, do you want to go offensive line? Do you want to go defensive line? Is Derek Carr going to be here? There's a lot of questions, right? But McDaniels, it sounds like he's going to stick around. I think he had to the offensive line. I think they will entertain that idea as well. Again, we'll see what happens if Carr is moved. That obviously changes a lot of things. But right now, Olu Fashanu, let's talk about him. He could be tackle 1 in this class, and he is just turned 20 years old, was 19 for the majority of the season for Penn State. And again, he is really technically advanced as a pass protector. great footwork, incredible anchor, great grip strength, is able to reset his hands when he loses leverage. There's just it's so fine, the detail that you can see he puts in, and how impressive he is at such a young age. Again, can he get better as a run blocker? Absolutely. But you've seen with guys like Abe Lucas and Charles Cross in Seattle, that can be taught. And that's something where Fashanu can get better. As good as he is with his initial quicks as a pass protector, I think those quicks can translate as a run blocker as well to get him into where he needs to be leveraged. So I like to pick for Vegas there at 4, going Olu Fashanu. Seattle at 5. This is going to be the stud pick for them. I get that quarterback, potentially is in the conversation for them. I don't know. I feel like maybe you give Geno Smith a 2-year deal. You're playing pretty well right now with him. I know he might not be the franchise elevator, but I'm not sure there's an elevator now at 5 with Stroud and Young off the board. So go here, get the best player available, get Jalen Carter. Your front seven's not bad in Seattle, right? Like it's not horrible, but could get a lot better. Jalen Carter, powerful player. Really flexible, elite change of direction skills, extremely explosive. He gets low off the snap with initial quicks, and he plays with great leverage. And again, like the power just devastates opponents all over the place. He's even in a rotation at Georgia still at this point where he's a superstar. And I know that maybe the number of snaps per game isn't like something where, oh man, can he handle the full load? Absolutely he can. He is a phenomenal prospect. Would be player 1 in this class, no question about it, if Will Anderson was in a different class. So he is right there with him. And Seattle gets a great player right there. Detroit at 6. This might be the shocker a little bit. But I do think the defense needs to get better. And Detroit may just decide, you know what, this isn't the year for us at quarterback. So they're going to go Tyree Wilson here at 6. This may be a little bit shocking, but at 6'6", 270, Wilson is impressive. And when you look at the length, the explosiveness, the power, you can move him around your defensive line, but he can get a lot of reps at edge. Him and Aiden Hutchinson could be a really devastating duo off the edge. Hutchinson needs some help for sure. And this would be a huge boost to your front seven. That's got some, some young talent on it. So that's a good start there, I think, for Detroit at 6. Again, Tyree Wilson, I think, is going to test really well, and that's going to elevate him to where he's getting picked right here in this mock. So Houston at 7. The Brandon Cooks saga feels over. Like what you have maybe in Nico Collins. I think there's, something there potentially. Hopefully John Mechie can come back. That will help things out for sure. We're praying for him to get back. There's no doubt about that. But I do think you can get more out of this receiver room. Why not help CJ Stroud out right away? Let's get Quentin Johnston there for them out of TCU. Boy, is he a tremendous playmaker. And he's been doing it at TCU all season long. He's been a little bit hot and cold, but again, TCU does rotate a lot of receivers in and out on offense. So, but when Johnston, is out there, you're getting this long stride, field tilting speed from this guy. He's really impressive at stacking, winning down the field vertically. But boy, can he really sell that everything's a vertical route. I think he does a great job sinking the hips and really limiting his steps and yardage displacement, in his breaks. Really tight with his breaks on in breakers. That's something really impressive. Can dominate the catch point, great leaping ability, and then post catch. I think he does a great job setting defenders up. Great awareness, and that explosiveness is devastating to angles. So he can really do it all. Just a question of, being better equipped to handle press at the next level. That's really the biggest question mark for me. But he's got the traits to be a wide receiver 1. Houston gets Stroud, Quentin Johnston. That's a heck of a duo right there. So Pittsburgh at 8. We're going back to offensive line. I think defensive line could be in play. Brzee, I think, is a potential pick for them there at pick 8. They're going to go Peter Skoronski instead here. Dan Moore and Chuks Okorafor just aren't doing it for me, honestly. And I'm not sure they're doing it for Pittsburgh fans either, but I do think Pittsburgh should consider offensive line. I think the weapons are there, really, honestly. And I know, obviously, getting rid of Chase Claypool stinks a little bit, but I think they'll be in nice position in the second round to add another receiver if they want to, especially as well as corner. I know they're going to look potentially there as well, but they did add William Jackson for 2023 pretty much. But I think tackle is the place to go. Peter Skoronski, really technically refined, powerful player out there. I know the length questions are going to be like, oh, is he going to move into guard then because of the length? I don't think he necessarily has to. This could be another Rashawn Slater situation. dude's just got high football IQ, and he's a mauler in the run game as well. I think he's going to be, pretty much well-rounded and everything you could ask for in a top 10 pick. So Skoronski to Pittsburgh. Now, here's an important one. I think Jacksonville at 9, this is where it gets really interesting for me. I think there's a lot of things in play for them. I think corners in play for them. I think defensive line has always been in play for this team, and offensive line might be as well. So you're looking, there's Paris Johnson, Brian Brzee there as well. I have them actually going I have them going corner. I think corner's going to be potentially, on the list of we got to figure this out. Tyson Campbell's been solid for them in plenty of spots, been pretty consistent. They can move Darius Williams into slot if they'd like to, and they go get Joey Porter Jr. I think there's one other player that could be in contention for this pick. We're going to go Joey Porter Jr., who just embodies physical play, toughness, just fantastic in run support. I think he can get better attacking from off coverage, but he's as physical as they come, and he's going to be, a guy that you can rely on to go up in your face, impress, whether it be even in bail technique or you want to quick jam somebody. I think he's going to be the player for that job. Him and Tyson Campbell, I think that's a really nice corner duo in Jacksonville. The defense has a lot of young playmakers on it, and I think that's a great start, especially if you can't get Quentin Johnston, who I think would be a huge help, though, to Trevor Lawrence. Philly at 10, this pick from the Saints. This feels easy. Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, I feel like they're on their last leg. This is where you pair Brian Brzee with Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis, the elite run stuffer, take on double teams, really control things in hopefully lighter boxes for them. Brzee's the guy with the length who could be a disruptor, a gap attacker, and a really fearsome pass rusher. He has that length, he has the power, but he also has quick, violent hands off the snap, can get off, offensive linemen with ease. I think he's put up pretty solid tape this year. Maybe hasn't been elite like some people were expecting, but still a really phenomenal talent. And he would be an instant impact on that Philly defensive line. Another team like Jacksonville that likes to invest in this early. Green Bay Packers at 11. I know you don't want to see this. I know you got the Packers fans, they want it to be wide receiver. They want it to be. Quentin Johnston's off the board. So for me, and I think for Green Bay, that means push it back later. I do. And so, again, Johnston might be there for Green Bay by the time the order is finalized at the end of the season. But here's what I see. I see a potential for Green Bay to move on from Aaron Rodgers, maybe even Aaron Jones, but also David Bakhtiari. There could be a lot of guys coming off the books and leaving 1265 Lombardi Avenue this offseason. Now, Zach Tom and Josh Nijman is an interesting combo at tackle. They may like Tom there long-term at tackle. I don't think you can sit on that laurels. I think there's a chance that Tom could succeed on the inside, which, again, Elton Jenkins, one of those guys that could potentially be leaving via free agency. So I like Paris Johnson Jr. here. And the reason I do is I think he's got really good foot quickness. I think the reactive athleticism is there, to be able to shuffle back and forth, good lateral quickness, and pass protection. But this dude in the run game, again, is powerful, and he is a machine at getting to the second level. He's got great linear explosiveness as well. But again, as a pass protector, you're seeing him reset hands. You're seeing him be, able to stay on an island for multiple seconds, and that's huge in pass protection. I think Jordan Love potentially gets run for Green Bay in 2023 while they look for another long-term option at quarterback. Paris Johnson is a good foundational piece for a Green Bay team that could be resetting everything. Arizona at 12. I think Arizona is the team to do this traits-based selection here. I'm going to go Kele Ringo. I don't know. I'm a little unsure about Ringo. I think he opens his hips too early. He's given up a lot of underneath separation, but the traits are there. Size and speed, carry wide receivers vertically. He's got this, ability to come up and tackle. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with if everything can round into form. And Arizona, they're a team that loves to take on these traits-based guys. And so I think that Ringo kind of fits their billing as the way they attack the draft. So, and again, Metcalf, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Lockett, they're Debo, Brandon Ayuk, tons of receivers in the NFC West. Got to get that position ironed out. Again, Marco Wilson isn't cutting it. So it's a solid pick there for Arizona. Something I'd expect from them, though. Detroit Lions at 13. We're going to go Christian Gonzalez. Again, not quarterback. So for me, Christian Gonzalez gives them another corner opposite Jeff Okudah. Again, I think the secondary still needs work. Like I said, the defense, 2 picks there for this defense, I think makes a lot of sense for Detroit. I know they wanted quarterback. We're not going to give him one here. Gonzalez has been really, really strong, whether it be off coverage, whether it be side saddle technique. Like he's just so smooth as a corner, and he's got great ball skills as well. Boy, I'd love that Gonzalez-Okudah combo. So there you go for Detroit. The Indianapolis Colts are going to swing here at pick 14. It's very clear that there's impatience in the organization. So we're going to give him Will Levis. I know. Yikes. Like some people are really not on this train. I'm going to tell you this, I think, right now. I think that the NFL is still going to be high on Will Levis. I'm not personally, but we got to do this mock based on what we think could happen. So I think Will Levis could still be a first-round pick because I do think the NFL is high on him, and we've seen some outlets with a lot of NFL connections behind Will Levis as well. So Indy, Matt Ryan not cutting it. They've been going the veteran route too long. Let's get Will Levis in here. He's operated in an NFL offense, can be under center, play action game. He's got good velocity on the ball. He's got good toughness in the pocket. Just the accuracy and decision-making, 2 things that I think the quarterback position obviously demands. It's just so inconsistent. But maybe in Indy, they can iron things out. Atlanta at pick 15. Boy, I flirted with this one. I think there's a potential that they take Bijan Robinson to be really their guy. That would be 3 years in a row they're going offensive skill position the first. But I'm going to go Myles Murphy here. I think him being available at pick 15 is a huge deal. You pair him up. Arnold Ebiketie, I think, is really starting to gain some traction. I think his explosiveness is just impressive. He's getting pressure. I think he's got more pressures than some of the first-round picks on the edge, so that's excellent for him. Murphy, kind of the complete opposite. He's not overly explosive, but he's powerful. He has the long arm move. He sets a strong edge. It's kind of, looking at complementary playmakers on the defensive line there, plus Grady Jarrett. That's a fearsome front, especially if Ebiketie can take a leap in year 2. Chargers at 16. This one was tough as well. I think they can go corner here. I think J.C. Jackson, it hurts to see him go down with a potentially major injury. Tackle makes sense, but Jamari Saller's been playing well. Maybe they flip him over to the right side, which isn't an easy thing to do. But, you're probably going to, again, if you take one of these guys top 3, they're flipping over to the right side as well. So, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give Herbert another weapon here. I think Josh Palmer's coming along nicely, but how long is Keenan Allen going to be around? Hard to say. Mike Williams is kind of that ex-jump ball guy. Jordan Addison gives him a little bit more of a deep threat. I know Addison's not blazing fast like somebody like Jalen Hyatt. I still think this is a good pick for the Chargers. A strong route runner, wicked quickness with him. Again, great at the catch point, and he's shown that he can be a threat post-catch. So he does it all. And I think giving a true separator is going to help Herbert, like Keenan Allen has done for him in his young career. Washington at pick 17. It's tough to find needs. Like, they could go quarterback, they could go offensive line. I think they could go defensive line. Obviously, Daron Payne potentially out, leaving in free agency. He is a free agent in the spring. But they traded away William Jackson. So give me Cam Smith here for them. Hasn't played as much this season, but the 2021 tape is very, very good. He's tough. He's physical. Could be a man cover corner. Could be an off cover corner. Gives Washington a little bit more boost in the secondary. Jets at pick 18. I'm going to go Broderick Jones for them out of Georgia. Again, George Fant, free agent. Max Mitchell, do you trust that as a day 3 pick at tackle? Are they sold on Mekhi Becton? Is Elijah Vera Tucker going to be out there long term? There are questions everywhere at tackle for this team. Broderick Jones, again, in the Mike LaFleur offense, where, again, you can get some move, there's some zone, you got to be good space blocker, you got to be a wicked quick guy out of your stance. I think Broderick Jones does all that very, very well. Excellent athlete at the position. Has some power to bury you as well. I think Broderick Jones Going to go higher than people think when the draft comes around, assuming he declares. Tampa Bay Bucks at 19. Let's go with Devin Witherspoon here, who I think is going to crack the first round, which is cool for guys like me who went to Illinois. But with him, this is man coverage. This is a man cover corner, maybe a little bit too grabby at times, but the cover skills are there. He's fluid, and he's got good ball skills. Tampa Bay potentially losing multiple corners to free agency this offseason. This is a plug and play with a Todd Bowles defense that, loves to blitz and put you on an island. Witherspoon can handle it. Broncos at 20. We're going to take Jared Verse for them. Jared Verse, another guy who maybe people are like, oh, that's interesting. He's going to crack the first round. I think so. He may go higher than this when the draft comes around. Albany transfer to Florida State, the latest transfer for Florida State to really put his name on the map for the NFL draft, and he's going to do so here. Obviously, trading Bradley Chubb hurts, but Jared Verse has been really dominant as a pass rusher, even more so than Jermaine Johnson was last year. So that's something I think Denver's going to add to a potent defense. They could go offense here. This could be tackle. This could be receiver. But I'm going to stick with Jared Verse here for them. All right, Seattle Seahawks back on the clock at 21. This is indeed their own pick, not Denver's, like some people would have thought. Would have switched them, but yeah, we're going to go back to the front seven. I think Boye Mafe is very intriguing, but Andre Carter, another edge rusher who's probably going to go higher than we think. This defensive line class is just loaded. With his size and his athleticism, there's just no way someone's not going to take a chance on him. And he's a pretty good pass rusher to boot. I think Seattle, with Jalen Carter and Andre Carter, funny enough, that front seven is going to be very, very good in Seattle. New England at 22. This might be the head scratcher a little bit, but I do think it's tackle or it's linebacker for them. Not Trenton Simpson, not Noah Sewell. Going to Drew Sanders, who I think could be a lot like Donta Hightower. He's got some reps as a rusher, plays a lot of off-ball linebacker, but he flies around the field. Impressive athleticism. Has the knack for making splash plays all over the place. I think this is kind of the missing ingredient potentially in the New England defense that's already been pretty good this season. Cincinnati at 23. This was the toughest one, honestly, because the offensive line, they've made the improvements. It just sometimes isn't showing. They could go corner here, but they are losing potentially Bates and Bell at safety. And I know they just took Daxton Hill in the first, so don't hate me with this, but I do think Brian Branch makes a lot of sense for these guys. And again, it could be linebacker as well for Cincy, but Brian Branch, exceptional slot guy for Bama, who's got some run on the roof. Great tackler, great football IQ, good route recognition. I think he can do just fine, potentially being either a robber in a lot of, or a drop down defender in a lot of middle field close stuff that Cincinnati likes to run if they stick in too high. I think he's just fine covering half the field like Daxton Hill will. So I do think Cincinnati adds a playmaker there in Branch to their defense. Buffalo Bills. Yeah, the fall stops right here, and this is scary for the rest of the league. Bijan Robinson headed to Buffalo. Again, Singletary's a free agent, and I know they've added Hines. I know they drafted James Cook. Those guys feel more complimentary satellite backs than they are feature backs. Bijan Robinson has it all. He's a top 5 player in this class, in my opinion. Again, where he thrives, creative footwork and the power and the balance, forcing missed tackles. He does it in a variety of ways, like I just said. He's a great receiver, can go up and get the football in some contested spots, but again, natural hands. Not the most explosive, but the short area burst is there. He's got great patience, vision, and can drop the weight and change direction at an elite rate. So Bijan Robinson heading to Buffalo is just a scary, scary thought. Baltimore Ravens at 25. Yeah, this one for me, it feels like the way they should go. I don't know if Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to be a first rounder necessarily, but I do think he fits really well here. Lamar Jackson loves to attack the middle of the field. That's where Smith-Njigba does so much of his work. He did it last year in the slot, obviously with Wilson and Olave still on the team. He was still in the slot with Egbuka and Harrison earlier this year. He hasn't gotten a lot of run. He's been hurt, unfortunately, but I think he's going to shut it down. The production last year was sensational. He's a really good route runner that attacks leverage and can defeat it with ease. And he's got a good field post catch. He's not the most explosive guy, but he also has great hands and can win through contact. So Smith and Jigba and Bateman's a really nice combo at receiver. They really need to get better there, and they really got to start becoming more of a pass-oriented team. Tennessee at 26. Yeah, I know Bud Dupree and Harold Landry are there, but I think that this team needs another edge rusher. I know it just doesn't seem like this is the direction they should go, but we're going to go B.J. Ojulari. Again, he is a really strong pass rusher, has all the array of moves, move, inside spin, ghost move. He can bend, he can dip and corner. Like he does all of that so well at a high level. Not sure why he's being talked about this little at this point in the draft process. I know we're not fully in the swing, but still, like he's been so good for LSU. Hard to not imagine him cracking the first round. Tennessee, a great place to land on Vrabel's defense. Dallas at 27. This is short and sweet. I mean, Dalton Schultz was franchise tagged, probably not going to stick around next year. Could Jake Ferguson be the guy? Sure, but why don't you just take Michael Mayer, who has, great short area quicks, obviously great hands, great body control through contact, a ball winner who I think can play inline and play a little slot for you. This is kind of adding a pseudo almost receiver, but again, a great inline player as well. Really a next Dalton Schultz, if you may. Giants at 28. Oh boy. This one feels right. I think Rashee Rice is going to crack the first round, and he does so with the Giants here. They could go interior offensive line. They could swing with Anthony Richardson, right? Who would kind of fit the Daboll offense really well if they want to incorporate a lot of Josh Allen running like they have with Daniel Jones. But I'm going to go Rashee Rice. They need an alpha one. They're going to get one here. Wins at all three levels. Great ball winner. This is kind of almost a younger version with a little more post-catch prowess of Kenny Golladay. That's what they're looking for. They need an X. They've got Wandale for next year. If that injury was serious today, Rice gives you that number one for, again, Daniel Jones or whoever they want to play quarterback next year. Obviously, we're skipping Miami here. Forfeited pick. So we're on the clock with Minnesota. Minnesota's tough, man. They've added two pieces of secondary. It was tough to find it like, oh, yeah, obviously Garrett Bradbury's a free agent, so like it could go center, but that just feels early. So I'm going to give them an edge prospect you might not think. I don't think Fauski's going to be a first-round pick at this point in the draft process. He just hasn't been consistent enough. Derek Hall has. And I know Za'Darius and Hunter are great players at the position. I think they're going to get younger. I really do. Derek Hall has impressive length, and he generates pressure at a high rate in the SEC. That's good enough for me as a first-round talent. That could crack the first. Chiefs at 30 here. This was tough. It could be edge, but I do think tackle is a really necessary position. They have to address it, and they're going to here with not the guy you expected. Don't worry about that C+ that you saw on the screen, Chiefs fans. Matthew Bergeron is a very, very good tackle prospect, not being talked enough about. And did a great job on an island against Clemson, against Murphy and KJ Henry. He's a really, really good run blocker. Great athleticism, great foot quickness, and can really latch on when he needs to. So this is that guy that, again, you got two tackle free agents. Don't think you're bringing back Orlando Brown. So there you go. Philly finishing it up with pick 31. Obviously, because of the Miami forfeit, this is the last pick here. I'm going to give him Jahmyr Gibbs. Again, Miles Sanders has been good this year, but Jahmyr Gibbs gives him a whole new level of explosiveness, pass-catching prowess. He's been so good for Bama. The lateral twitch and change the direction, the ability to cut and just displace yourself is impressive with this guy. There's a reason he's really almost a consensus RB2 at this point in the draft class. He's so good. You're going to get a bonus pick since this thing has to finish. I'm going to give the Texans Nolan Smith, who I think is very, very good, Torres Peck. Impressive player, even at 235 pounds. So there you go. Draft is complete. You can take a look at it here as I'll scroll down just for you slowly to finish it up. But that will do it for this 2023 NFL mock draft on the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like down there. Subscribe if you're new. Don't go crazy in the comments. It's just mock. It's just for fun. But can't wait to interact with you all down there. And a lot more draft, film room, and stuff coming along in the channel very, very soon. So thank you guys. I will catch you in the next one. Farewell.